YouTube, Zack going. The Goat House is back with an updated NFL mock draft. We're through the regular season in the NFL, and we're through all the bowl games except for the actual national championship. So I thought it was appropriate time to do a mock draft here. So we got most of the orders set and some changes throughout the actual draft with prospects declaring and stock rising, stock falling a little bit. So we'll break it down. We're going to have tons of mock drafts in draft season, more than just the first round. A lot of draft coverage, free agency coverage. We got you covered. Playoffs starting now. Full coverage for that as well. Picks coming tonight. So please subscribe if you're new. Again, full NFL coverage. Really appreciate a subscription. Smashing that like button. Checking out that Twitter. That Twitter's a must follow. Constant NFL talk on there. Link in the description for anything that you need. Like that Twitter, like the sided app there where you can win Amazon gift cards. But yeah, to that Twitter, what's going on right now? You guys are voting for, there's going to be a lot of things like this, but you guys are voting for who wins each playoff matchup. So you want to get in there on that Twitter. You see at GoatHouse NFL and vote. And if you watch our picks videos, how we have the icons, like my Riz icon, I move it over to who I'm picking. We're going to do a fan vote one and move that over so you guys have a big say in picks videos going forward, starting with the playoffs. So very cool. And then I'll put a link for these sided polls pinned in the comments as well. You're voting for who is the best playoff team in the NFC. I threw a bone at Washington and the Bears. Maybe I should have done it for the Rams, and there's the AFC one as well. I'll put links there, and you guys can win Amazon gift cards through here. Top 10 places each week, so pretty cool. Let's go to the mock draft. So the Jaguars have the first pick. We knew that. Trevor Lawrence. There's some talk about Justin Fields going first now because how he played in that game against Clemson outplayed Trevor Lawrence by quite a bit. And I mean, that was a special game for Justin Fields. It was ridiculous. And what you like to see there, not only the top end play, not only the ball velocity, the downfield throws, the big playability, not only all of that, but the best players show up in the big moments. This was the biggest moment of his career so far. I know he's been in this stage last year, but here we are before he's going into the draft, shows up, and he got hurt a bit in that game. We don't know how bad it was, but able to fight through that. The big time players make big time plays. They show up in the right moments when they absolutely have to. So that is the main thing with Justin Fields. And the talk of Urban Meyer could go to Jacksonville. That's kind of their top target. Well, he wasn't there when Justin Fields was there. He was gone. It was Ryan Day. But if the Jaguars can't get Urban Meyer, they have strong interest in Ryan Day, and that makes things interesting. Ryan Day's not going to leave, it sounds like. But that makes things very interesting. So I start to wonder if they chose Justin Fields. You should choose your quarterback over the coach. Sometimes teams choose the coach, and he has a specific system, and they go out and get the best fit, not the best player. Sometimes that's the mistake teams make when they overdraft a quarterback or draft the wrong quarterback. Usually that is the problem or why. But yeah, so they were locked in the 2 pick for a long time, the second overall pick. So maybe Justin Fields just kind of grew on them. Who knows? But I still think it's Trevor Lawrence. I'm not trying to overthink these things. He's kind of been known before even stepping on the field that he was going to be a future number 1 pick, and I think that is kind of programmed in these teams' heads more than anything. So I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence there, number 1. I'm going to go Justin Fields, number 2. This could be Zach Wilson from BYU. It's going to be a battle. Maybe Fields is going to battle Lawrence, like we said. It also could be a Paye Sewell, a lineman, or they can trade back. They can build around Sam Darnold. The Jets are rumored to have a big trade planned. I don't know how that could be when the other team has to agree already. That was the legitimate rumor. That they have something planned, something big planned. So what could that be? I don't think that's big enough to they trade Darnold. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. If you have the rare opportunity to get better at quarterback, if you have the opportunity to get better at any position, you take it. I mean, that's just you don't need to have knowledge to know that that's correct. If you have an opportunity, rare opportunity to get better at quarterback, most important position in sports, you take it. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, better than Sam Darnold as prospects, but probably day 1 as well. So the Jets take Justin Fields here. We'll see how he does against Alabama. Insane performance against Clemson. Very impressed. The Dolphins go Paye Sewell. Offensive tackle also could be, if he played guard, he would be a Pro Bowl guard, like right away. He's probably going to be a Pro Bowl tackle. I think they use Robert Hunt at guard, and they go Sewell and Jackson at tackle. Looks pretty good to me. I think you move Jackson to right tackle, if you ask me, and you play Sewell at left tackle. But, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if they kept Hunt at right tackle, which they have him listed at both. And they put Sewell at guard. I think it'd be better the other way. A lot of people probably want DeVonta Smith here or even Jamar Chase. DeVonta Smith for Tua would be ideal. Tua doesn't have the best receiver unit right now. He has Devontae Parker, but he's more just an outside jump ball guy. You need a guy that can just get open almost on every play, that can play in the slot, play outside. So DeVonta Smith is pretty damn appealing. But I think the Dolphins would think, we can get a receiver that's, with our other first-round pick, that isn't too far off from DeVonta Smith, but the difference between Penei Sewell and the guy in the offensive tackle around that spot, pretty giant gap. So that could be their thinking. I think the offensive line is more important. It always has been. Receivers are taking over the NFL, though, so that's the question there. Falcons go Zach Wilson. This would be ideal. Matt Ryan is really declining. He's still got an arm, can throw for a lot of yards. He's declining, though. They're about to get a new coach. The new coach isn't going to want to, maybe he'll want Matt Ryan this year, but he's not going to want to. The coach is going to need to grow, maybe not with the guy that's declining, So they're going to be looking. And when are the Falcons picking 4? Let's be honest here. I don't expect them to, their defense is getting better. The offense, I think with a better coach, even with no additions, probably be better. They're not going to be picking 4, even if they stay the same next year. You take this shot right here. You do this. You got to do it. So you take Zach Wilson. Bengals, this is a tough spot. Likely a trade back. It's too early to do trades. NFL draft trades are they're pretty unpredictable. If you start predicting trades, you start creating a mess. But I will do mocks with trades. Everybody knows that in the offseason. But Christian Darrisaw is a guy that's really rising based off his season this year. He's kind of today's type of tackle, more of athletic, but he has enough power as well. I think he can play left or right, which really could help the Bengals. We'll see what they do with Jonah Williams. Going forward. I mean, the Bengals could use a guard. They can use a tackle. Jamar Chase, I thought about Jamar Chase because that's Joe Burrow's guy. Him and Justin Jefferson maybe had the best, and DeVonta Smith this year. Those two guys last year were maybe the best receivers in college football history. Yeah, thought about that. They're going to lose A.J. Green, but I think their thinking is we got receivers. We got T. Higgins looks great. He's kind of the A.J. Green. Tyler Boyd is maybe the best slot receiver in football. Sure, they can use another one if they want to be a high-powered passing team, but their thinking is, we can find receivers in the second round if we really need them. We got receivers. We need to protect our guy, our franchise, our piece. That's the guy, Joe Burrow. Darrisaw is going to go earlier. As we get further in to the process, he will pop up more up in this range. I think they can trade back a little bit. The Eagles probably won't take him. The Lions probably won't take him. The Panthers, they get to trade back a few spots. Nothing ridiculous, though, like people are saying. So I have them going Darrisaw. Eagles go Jamar Chase, DeVonta Smith, Jamar Chase, DeVonta Smith, back and forth here. DeVonta Smith, he's probably more of a plug-and-play guy in terms. They're both plug-and-play guys, so don't get me wrong. They're going to start day one, which I hope. Justin Jefferson didn't even start day one for some odd reason. But I think DeVonta Smith makes more of that Justin Jefferson-type impact right away. I think he comes in, you can put him in the slot, put him outside, he's just going to get open. Not that Chase can't, but Chase is more of an outside guy. I'm still, you can't forget how good Jamar Chase was last year. So I think the Eagles would kind of go that route. I think Jalen Reagor's kind of their do-it-all guy, for the future. So they'd probably go Chase. But again, Smith would help them, I think, a little more instantly and maybe make Hurts better a little more instantly. But Chase is also, man, he's everything. He's a jump ball, contested catch guy, just burn you deep. I think the footwork is underrated. There's times on tape last year I saw him put guys in the blender, and people kind of don't notice that. So I think they would go Chase. Micah Parsons is a strong option, too, because that linebacker unit's the worst in football. That defense has kind of let them down over the last several weeks of the regular season, except for the Washington game. As expected, though, it's Washington's offense. So they could go that route. The Lions then, hang on to Stafford in this scenario. If one of the top 3 fell, which, most likely 2 of them are not, most likely 3 of them are not, then, yeah, they'd probably pull the trigger. We'll see who the coach is. I was kind of predicting Robert Saleh, but... we'll see. DeVonta Smith, Galladay's in and out with injuries. I love Galladay, though. He could be a top 5 talent in terms of receiver ability as a receiver. Marvin Jones, I think, is underrated as well, but he's a guy that has some injuries pop up, and he's not going to be around too much longer. DeVonta Smith's kind of that guy they're missing, a guy that can do a bit of everything. This would kind of be a CeeDee Lamb and some type impact year one for the Lions, and I think that would help them that much more. Problem is, if they do get Salah, they need to change that. That defense is bad. They need to change some things. So they could go defense. Could it be a trade back? Could they double up on the corners? Could they pair Surtain with Okudah there? Could they go Micah Parsons? So a lot of questions there for the Lions. Panthers go Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State. We'll see if Joe Brady's still around. That would be interesting if Joe Brady's still around. He's getting some interviews in for other head coaching positions. Teddy Bridgewater really declined. It's crazy. He really declined as the season went on. I liked Teddy in the past, but it was still a big question mark. How will he be after the injury? He looked pretty decent with the Saints last year, but still a question mark. Early this year, he looked actually better. I was kind of on, somewhat high on Teddy Bridgewater. He was actually better than I thought he'd be early in the year. Something happened. He looked like he declined. Looked like a veteran, like an aged veteran declining. It was pretty rough. And I think they want a quarterback that can move. Bridgewater brings that. Lance brings more of it, I think. And he has more of that downfield ability, which Bridgewater's lacking. So, this is a Matt Rule and Joe Brady type of quarterback. See if Joe Brady's still there. Matt is a guy Matt Rule who's on board with coaching the offense and defense, which he does both, obviously. So I like Trey Lance to the Panthers there. He's kind of getting forgotten about because of the other top 3 guys. Next, Broncos go Mac Jones, quarterback, Alabama. I would be a little hesitant to make this pick. For me, if I'm going to take quarterback in the first round, I got to be pound the table for him. I got to be, he's got to have crazy upside. So I'm not really. Mac Jones is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge Mac Jones guy. I think the Broncos are still looking for their quarterback. I think they'll like Mac Jones. They'll think, he can do something similar to what he's doing in Alabama with the weapons the Broncos have. They have Jerry Jeudy on top of it, but they have Cortland Sutton, they have KJ Hamler, they got Noah Fant, Albert O at tight end. Offensive line's getting better. Their running back group looks legit. Melvin Gordon's getting better, it feels like, as the year went on. They have Phillip Lindsay as well. The offense, looking at the weapons, and even looking at the offensive line where it's heading, it kind of reminds me of, it's crazy, but it kind of reminds me of an Alabama-type offense, and that could be what their thinking is. Mac Jones, if he gets thrown into a situation like the Jags or the Jets, I think he can struggle. Not that would happen because that's the first 2 picks, but I think he can struggle big time. How will he be against NFL pressure? A lot of things are kind of schemed up for him. Guys are kind of wide open. He relies on his targets, but he is good. He's had accurate balls. He works quick. He dissects things pretty quickly, so that's what's impressive. He's not afraid to use his legs, doesn't do it a whole bunch. But I think the Broncos can do similar things. Let's just get a smart quarterback. It's okay if we make him a system guy. It works for Mac Jones, so it makes sense. I've heard several times that Mac Jones, from knowledgeable people, that's the credible people, that Mac Jones will go a lot earlier than the media, than the world thinks. So this spot made sense to me. Cowboys still land Patrick Surtain, which we've seen a bunch. Pair him with Trevon Diggs, the Alabama cornerback duo. That'd be bad. That'd be in a good way. That'd be good for the future. I'd like that a lot. I like both those guys. Surtain more the lockdown guy. Trevon Diggs more the playmaking guy. That's why they work so well with Alabama. So that's fantastic. So one of them is going to be covering like the number 2 receiver. Probably be Diggs. Even though I'm pretty high on Diggs. I like Diggs a lot. So that'd be fantastic. The Giants in the 11th spot take Azeez Ojulari from Georgia, a guy rising up boards. If you watched it was the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati, he won the game. He was dominant. Georgia was struggling. He got a strip sack, very good rush, and that turned the game around. He ended the game with a safety as well. I had 3 sacks, but he's been pretty freaky all year, doing some big things. I think teams might want him to put on a little size because he weighs in about 240. He looks and plays stronger than that though. He's very athletic. He's really good with his hands. Really strong hands. He's really rising aboard. So I think he can fit Based on his play, I think he can fit a 3-4 or a 4-3 defense, and Georgia kind of moves them, standing up on the line, so it's kind of shown. Some 4-3 teams might want him to add more weight, though. The Giants play a 3-4, and their defense, they maybe they can use offense here. I like Trey Lance for them a lot. I like Trey Lance, but he's gone here. I think that's a really good fit. What they're trying to do with Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is a really good runner, but what they're trying to run more read options is actually pretty successful. And Trey Lance can bring that at a much better level, and he also has a better arm accuracy, arm strength, I think, as well than Daniel Jones. So that'd be an upgrade, and I think a fit. So they could use offense, but this is, to take that defense from good to elite, you need to add actual edge rush, because their pressure comes from their defensive line, their three front, which are some studs. Leonard Williams, absolute stud. Dexter Lawrence, stud. So if you're going to add an edge guy here like this, I think that'll do wonders. Maybe the best defense in football for the future. The Niners go Caleb Farley. They got a list of corners. I think quite a few of them about to be free agents, and Sherman aging as well. Some injury concern. This is a really good team, but they have so many guys with injury concerns, so they got to figure something out there. Caleb Farley's a stud, receiver turned corner, has the size and athleticism. That checks a lot of boxes to appeal to defensive coordinators. And I think he's a plug-and-play guy, so they'll like him. Chargers go Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida. Hunter Henry was on the franchise tag. He can be a free agent. Hunter Henry is good. I think Kyle Pitts with Justin Herbert will be even better. It'll be ridiculous. We'll see who the coach is there. But I think, Pitts with the ability to play inline, play in the slot, play outside with Justin Herbert, because they have receivers. They had some under-the-radar receivers, coming in this year. They end up being pretty good. So I think they're actually okay at the receiver position. So I think getting a tight end that's kind of also a receiver, it just makes this group dominant, I think, and that is high-powered. The Chargers are going for is make the best offense in football, and they're on their way. So getting a guy like Kyle Pitts, he really shouldn't fall this far. He's going to be a top 5 player on my board. I don't know about everyone else's board. He's going to be a top 5 player. You don't see tight ends like this. You don't see mismatch problems like this. Think about the Chiefs offense with Travis Kelce. You can spread the field so much more. Think about what Darren Waller does. I compare him more to Darren Waller. He's more of a Darren Waller. And Darren Waller's a freak athlete. Kyle Pitts is more of an athlete. So think about that for a second. So my comparison's Darren Waller. With actually more athleticism. But I think it'll make more of an impact of Travis Kelce. I think you spread the field out more when you put him inside. It's just going to call him inside or outside. It's going to cause mismatch game plan problems. It's going to be a problem. So he shouldn't drop this far. But in this scenario, which is realistic, he did. Vikings go Rashawn Slater, who could go a little earlier, depending on maybe Darsaw. Slater can play any offensive line position. And that's good here because the Vikings could use him at guard or tackle. The question is, do they move Ezra Cleveland to left tackle when Reef is out? Reef actually played okay this year, so they can keep him at left tackle for one more year perhaps. So future though, Cleveland, Slater. One's going to be a guard, one's going to be a tackle, or they both could actually be guards for the future. Bradbury will be sitting there at center still, so they don't need Slater for center. But yeah, the Kirk Cousins down the stretch of the season was pressured more than anybody, and he still played pretty well. So if you keep that under control, you might be able to get more success. But their offense really wasn't the problem this year, it was their defense. So once again, they could go defense. If Caleb Farley is there, Zimmer's going to fall in love with Caleb Farley. I already know that. So that's a possibility. Patriots go Micah Parsons. I had Micah Parsons falling pretty further than I thought. He did opt out this season, so I do think it's possible. And you see the guys that went in front of him, it's possible. This is a Bill Belichick type of linebacker. He lost those utility type linebackers. You got like Kyle Van Noy. So I think Parsons could kind of be that guy because he's so good at everything. He's an off-the-ball linebacker that can do everything. If you need him to rush the passer, as a blitzer, off the edge, whatever, he could do it. He's good in coverage, everything. So I don't think he would get by this point. I think the Patriots, they could use a receiver as well, so they could go maybe a Waddle. I think they handle their quarterback situation in free agency somehow, whether it's a trade or a free agency pickup. I think that's their goal. We'll see if it gets done. So I don't think they'll be able to pass on Parsons. I don't think they would be able to do it. It's going to be tough for maybe a team like the Vikings, Mike Zimmer, pass on that guy. So it's hard to see him going that far. because he's a freaky talent there. J.C. Horn to the Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals definitely need another corner. J.C. Horn's very good. This shows how good this corner class is at the top, because these three guys feel like number one corners. Surtain, Farley, Horn. They feel like number one. All three feel like number one corners, and Horn's going to be the number 3 in this class. He's very physical, at the same time being able to read the quarterback's eyes, which is kind of rare. It's very hard to do. So that's what stands out about him. So add him in that group with the Cardinals. They definitely could use that corner. Next group of teams, Gregory Rousseau, who was once thought of a top pick and still can be, but he opted out this year, and it seems like whatever Miami Hurricane edge rusher goes in, they have success. So what is that? Well, it's a strong group all the way around. It's obviously got to be a well-coached group. So what piece is making them all, is it a piece that's making that strong? It's kind of a question mark, and Rousseau opting out sure didn't help. But he's a freaky talent that has experience at like 3 different positions across the defensive line, but I do like him as an edge rusher. He's freaky long as well. And he could go early because there's usually a gap of edge rushers in the draft, and people always wonder why my team never takes an edge rusher. It's probably because they're always picking mid to late in the first round. And that is why. Because the sure thing guys, the really good, the really freaky guys, the talented guys, they all go really early. And there's actually a group of them, probably 3 between Ojulari, Rousseau, and Kwity Paye. So these guys can go early just because they're one of the most important positions in football, and they're pretty good at it. But there is a little bit of risk with guys like Rousseau. But the Raiders, they need another edge rusher. I think, and they're in on Gus Bradley. Let's see if they get him, but they're going to need more of an athletic edge rusher if they do get him, like Rousseau. And I think Cleveland Farrell could end up being part of a rotation. It's a pretty good rotation option. Obviously Crosby's going to start, so they could add a piece like this. They could go back to that cornerback spot. They're feeling like they might have missed already on Damon Arnett, which I'm not ready to say they did. I blame more of their coaching, but you kind of get the sense from them that they're not too thrilled with themselves on that pick. So that's interesting. The Dolphins go Jaylen Waddle, too. It sounds like he might come back for the national championship game, so we'll see that. Injury didn't end up being as bad as it was, but he's a tough dude. Either way, the Dolphins, it kind of worked out. Sewell, DeVonta Smith, Jamar Chase, which one do I go with? You go Sewell, and you get Jaylen Waddle, who's not too far off from a guy like DeVonta Smith. Penei Sewell, much better than a lot of these other guys. So that worked out. Is it going to work exactly like this when come draft time? We don't really know. It's a bit of a risk, I suppose. I think it'd be riskier the opposite way, though. So the Dolphins get significantly better just with 2 draft picks in this year's draft in this scenario. So that's is looking fantastic right there. Washington takes Terrace Marshall, wide receiver from LSU. This is exactly the type of receiver they need to pair with Terry McLaurin. He's more of an outside receiver, can also play in the slot if you need him to. He's really good tracking the ball. He's really good high pointing the ball. He's good over the middle of the field, too. He's a lot better after the catch. I think he's a lot faster than people give him credit for. Got a good build to him, pretty strong. So all-around balanced receiver. It's the type of guy Washington needs. Tough to figure out what the Bears might do. I went Alex Leatherwood, the tackle from Bama. And the reason I went that is I think the Bears are leaning more and more towards being a running team. They're really believing in Dave Montgomery. He's looked good over the last several weeks, and he's still a young guy that can improve. So they want to establish their game plan. All of a sudden, kind of switching their scheme a little bit, is establish to run to open up the pass, and it's smart thing to do. And I think they could use a tackle of the future, either way. And Leatherwood really stands out as more of a run blocker, but he can pass protect as well. But he's going to be a dominant run blocker, can really pull if you want to, because they're running a lot, run the ball a lot, and they're running a lot of play action. So it'll be wise for them to kind of go at more outside zone runs, which I think they want to do. And that would work out for the Bama tackle here. So that made sense to me. Davion Nixon from Iowa, not getting enough talk. This kid's a stud on the inside. Jaguars desperately need interior defense lineman. Like, it's bad. It's rough right now. So they're in prime position to do that. Nixon could play a couple spots in the interior. We'll stop the run at a high level. And he got a lot of pressure in the limited games that the Iowa play. Wish we would have saw more, but he got good pressure. Colts go Kwity Paye, edge rusher from Michigan. Just too good to pass at this point. Like I said, he can go much higher. At the same time, the Colts could use another edge rusher, But also, Justin Houston's not going to last forever as well, aging. So I think it's kind of, you pair him maybe for next year or whatever, or he can replace him. I think he fits their defense. He doesn't fit a whole bunch of defenses out here. Maybe like Ojulari and Rousseau, they fit, I think, a little more defenses. Kwity Paye can end up being better. He's really good in run support as well. So, adding him to that group with the DeForest Buckner on the inside, it's... they probably need more offense. They're going to be looking out for a tackle of the future to replace Costanzo. I don't really like the ones on the board here for the 22nd pick. They could be looking for the quarterback. Obviously, we're down at 22. Nothing that special. They could go receiver. I just like this value, and I think that defense gets that much better in a scenario like this. Browns, I think I've had this a lot. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. Outside linebacker and 4-3 fits them. He's going to be on the field on every down. It's on the linebacker you take off the field on third down. You want him on the field on third down because he can cover at a high level from the slot, a very high level, and he makes plays. He just continues to make plays, and he does that. You can blitz him. He's very effective getting after the quarterback because of his athleticism. It's a guy the Browns would like here. He could end up rising up, I think, as we get closer. People are going to fall in love with the freaky guy, the freaky linebacker that can do it all and can cover. He can cover better than any linebacker. Isaiah Simmons was last year. So, talk about, back-to-back years with maybe the best coverage linebackers we've ever seen in a long time. So, that's why he could rise up. Maybe why he won't. He could maybe only fit for 3 teams, 3-4 teams. Outside guys are more just strictly edge rushers. Inside guys, he's not big enough for that maybe. So, that would be the reason. Titans need pass rush badly. They get Joseph Asai. Joseph Asai strictly fits 3-4 defenses. Titans run a 3-4. Base, they do some weird things sometimes. They rush 3 a lot sometimes, but that's because they don't really have much. I like Harold Landry. He could be a little better though. Could expect a little more from him this year. Osai's a athletic pass rusher that fits 3-4. I think he'll fit, and they'll like him. They really messed up on their first-round pick last year, Isaiah Wilson. We'll see if he figures it out off the field first before he can get on the field. I did not like that pick at the time. I did not have anywhere near a first-round grade on him, so that was interesting. The last 8 pick, it's tough to figure out what the Bucs are going to do. This team has probably the least amount of needs in football. Good thing, I suppose. They could try to find the quarterback of the future. I thought about Kyle Trask here. Kyle Trask showed signs in the bowl game of being a one-read quarterback. I don't think Arians will have any of that, perhaps, but learning from Tom Brady could be good. Elijah Vera Tucker I went with, who seems like a first-round lineman. They don't really need a guard, which he's listed as guard, but he got experience at tackle, and he looked pretty damn good playing tackle. So this would probably be a backup right away, honestly, but this could be the left tackle of the future, replacing Donovan Smith, because I don't want to call him weak, but he's probably the weaker point of a good offensive line. And they've had some injuries here and there and had to shift the guys around in the guard position, the interior position. They're putting at centers, guard at center, whatever it is. And they put Jensen at guard. So then they had Shipley, was it? They came in at center. So yeah, Tucker could fill in a lot of ways and could be that left tackle of the future. The Bucs could go. They got to re-sign Ndamukong Suh. He's actually a key piece to their D-line, kind of underrated. I think they will, though, but could they find the interior guy of the future? They maybe like Nixon from Iowa, who we had going to the Jags. They could use edge rush depth for the guy for the future. A lot of guys gone at this point. So it's tough to figure out what the Bucs will do because they don't have a whole bunch of needs. It's kind of a good thing. Ravens get Rashad Bateman, receiver from Minnesota. It's kind of the perfect receiver to pair with Hollywood Brown. Maybe a better version of Miles Boykin. Miles Boykin almost feels like their best receiver right now, but maybe a better version of that. Big play guy, can be physical, can throw guys off him if they're trying to press him, can go up and catch the ball, and gets open as well. So it's a guy that they need, really, type of guy they need. Wyatt Davis fell down a little bit here. Could go earlier, could be one of the better guards, definitely one of the best run-blocking guards in football. The Jets, got a mess kind of going in there. They've got guys coming in and out. They're playing Pat Elflein in there at times, so Ohio State guy, but Wyatt Davis is much better. So they can improve their help their quarterback out in running game out, see who their new quarterback and then whoever their new running back may be. Speaking of running backs, Steelers go Najee Harris. They're just not getting enough in the running back position. Connor's solid, but you can get better there. I think this is an upgrade. Best vision in the class, has a good amount of strength too. Some quickness. You wish the deep speed was a little better, but not a big deal. And he's improving catching the ball out of the backfield, downfield. I think it was the Florida game. They were putting him in the slot. He was running routes. That's fantastic to see. So it's definitely someone that will help improve that Steelers offense because they don't have much of a run game right now. Jaylen Phillips, edge rusher for Miami, going to the Saints. Edge rusher for the Saints, first glance, might sound surprising, but it really shouldn't be. Cam Jordan's a stud, obviously. They got a couple studs in there. Trey Hendrickson, probably going to be gone in free agency. The Saints don't have the cap space. They're always good at clearing some, but they got to clear an insane amount. Somebody's probably going to pay him a lot of money, so they're probably going to lose him. Marcus Davenport, who they traded away a lot to get, shown signs that he could be good, but he's still been a little underwhelming, but he was also that raw prospect. So that means he's got upside. He's still got to get there. So they definitely believe in him. Will they pick up or decline his option? Where they picked him, that option's pretty pricey. Is he playing to that level? So that's a tough decision to make. That potentially can mean he's not around for much longer, potentially. We don't really know right now. So they need somebody, even take away, kind of going back to the Hendrickson thing. Jaylen Phillips got some upside there. I think he could fit any scheme. Really long as well, and pretty athletic. So these Miami guys are standing out, and I think the Saints would like him. I think they view him as a fit. Bills take Tyson Campbell, the corner from Georgia. I like the combination of athleticism and physicality from Tyson Campbell. He's pretty good, and the Georgia corners are pretty good in press. So I like what I see from him. I think the Bills would like him as well. You pair him with Tre'Davious White for the future. Not too many needs for the Bills. I think corner could be one of them. Kadarius Toney for the Packers. Toney probably should go higher in this. I like Toney a lot. I would love for the Packers. This would be scary if the Packers. They've never had that speed home run type of guy. It's been a Randall Cobb kind of. This guy's more faster. To me a little more athletic, more big play. It would be scary. It would be scary to see Kadarius Toney with Devonta Adams, almost said Devontae Smith, in draft mode. Devonta Adams, who's the best receiver in football this year. I mean, it'd be scary, plain and simple. Kadarius Toney, I think people that don't watch a whole bunch, they're just a football fan. They may say, "Oh, just one of those speed guys that's really not going to work out right away. Is it going to be a rug?" I don't think it's that. I don't think he's that at all. He's really good route runner. He's kind of a unique route runner. And it's just tough to cover him. And he understands defenses. You can see that. He can play in the slot, can play outside. He can go deep, can go underneath, give him the end around. A guy like Henry Ruggs is just strictly deep, which he can work on the other things. And he can definitely get better at the other things. I think it's crazy because Ruggs was the first receiver to go in the draft last year in a historic class. I think Toney has – I don't really think. I know he has – I'm not saying when they're at the – further along in their career, I'm not saying Toney's going to be better, but I know Toney has more to his game. So that's why he should go earlier. And you see the difference with him, without him in that Florida offense. The bowl game, I know they were missing other guys as well, including Kyle Pitts. Downright scary in the Packers offense if they did this. He might go earlier, though. Chiefs go Trey Smith, offensive lineman, Tennessee. People are starting to take him out of the first round. I don't really like that. He did have some health concerns in the past few years ago, which were pretty scary. It's nothing injury-wise. I think he had blood clots, something along those lines, so that's a little scary. So we'll see if he checks out. The combine usually around that time. I'm really not worried. Maybe don't take my word for it, but on that, because I'm not the doctor here. But he's played the last couple of years. It's not like he's going to go out and re-injure something. It's not along those lines. So I'm not too worried. I'm going to go off the tape. This guy is a beast. He bullies people. He came in as a top recruit tackle, played great at tackle. Then they had the health scares, came back, played guard at an extremely high level. I think he'd be a Pro Bowl guard. Chiefs could use either one. They can use the guy that can play both. They might need a left tackle of the future, maybe not right now. They can use a guard right now. When they try to run the ball inside, you see on the goal line, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So they definitely could. They would love a guy like this, in my opinion. So to me, he's definitely a first-round pick still. He's probably going to be higher than 32 on my board. We'll see if he checks out, root for the guy. Then Kyle Trask dropped out. I don't want to overreact from one game. And I can definitely see him going first round still. It's just how the scenario played out. Because that game was pretty bad. He started to show signs that maybe he's a one-read quarterback. The lacking of athleticism. I mean, he can move. He can run sometimes because of his strength. And I guess he has pretty good vision, for a quarterback. Just there's some question marks there that kind of might worry teams since we kind of leave a bad taste in our mouth. That's the way we're leaving it, So that's pretty tough. I think his footwork in the pocket is as good as anybody, and how I think people footwork's important. You can actually watch quarterbacks. Once you see their sloppy footwork, I kind of, a lot of people can do that. You can see a bad play coming before it happens. So it's definitely important. I think sometimes teams will go, look at that footwork. That's our guy. Maybe a little, overrated, maybe a little bit. So I think teams will see that, coaches will see that, and I guess I understand why. Coaching footwork is, God, I don't even want to imagine. I think only some could do it. So that would be why, I suppose. And the improvement he had from last year, not playing the full year, to not even a full year later, was pretty ridiculous. He's a much better quarterback, much more polished this year, and improved on things so quickly that guys can't improve on. So for those reasons, I can see somebody falling in love with him taking him in the first round. Needs a little more athleticism. Can't be that one-read quarterback. Sometimes too patient in the pocket. Talked about it on Twitter, I think during the bowl game against Oklahoma. Patience is his strength and weakness, if that makes any sense, because he's patient, he doesn't freak out, doesn't panic, stays calm. That's great. But sometimes a little too much, holds on the ball too long and just, all right, I'm relaxed. There's a guy coming at your back, figure it out now. So that scares me a little bit. Same time, it's a good thing. Another guy, I do not think he's going first round, but a guy that's going to go higher than a lot of people think is Kellen Mond from Texas A&M. Came in as a high recruit. Some teams value that. They kind of go off that a bit more than other teams. But yeah, he's got arm talent, freaky arm talent. Actually, I think A&M got a little conservative at times. They kind of hid that, so teams think they can get that out of him. But they played a pro-style offense. They kind of switched to that a couple years ago, and he took a step down when going to that, but then he took a step back up this year, and then has the experience in the pro-style offense show that he can improve in it. And he is crazy. He's very underrated in terms of a runner. Athleticism, he's very good runner. So pro-style quarterback that can run, that's kind of today's NFL, So I think there's teams that will probably like, we want this guy. Do we want to take him in the first round? No, but we want this guy. So I think he'll probably go second. And Ritter from Cincinnati is rising up boards from what I've heard. Maybe a third-round guy, maybe a second. So we'll see. As we get further in the process, we'll do multiple rounds, of course, and we'll talk about trades. We'll talk about rumors. We'll talk about big boards, everything. We got you covered for the draft. We got you covered for playoffs. Got you covered for free agency, coaching, madness right now. We got you. So subscribe, smash that like button, follow us on Twitter. It's an absolute must-follow to get info on the channel, what we're doing, but constant football talking during live games. So check that out. Smash that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. All would be much, much appreciated. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.